All right, calling the meeting of the North Bend Public Library Board to order at 5:02. Except I do not have an agenda income.
There's a packet there.
Yes, I think it was in the packet that I had.
Oh, that I just
Oh,
Yes.
pulling my
I
packet.
just took yours.
All right. We have minutes of the February 12th meeting. I guess everybody looked at them, and does anybody have any corrections?
Looking at it right now.
Is there anybody with us online today?
No.
I need to approve the minutes.
I second.
All right.
I second.
Moved by Terry, seconded by, my mind, leaving a blank, Levi, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
If there's any, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We had a good minute from last time, and that's the only thing on the consent agenda. Librarians report.
The library reopened on the 15th. We had a fantastic opening celebration, and we have been feeling a lot of relief and excitement about being back open, and we've seen good attendance. We continue to work through some final stages of our renovation project. I would say that we are about 85% complete at this time. We still have some of our closeout items that need to be addressed, and we are also still working on the window replacement for the children's room. But we have reached what is called substantial completion, and we expect that we'll have that window project finished out. We are hoping it will take place in May, but I have been assured that it will happen before the completion of our current fiscal year, which is the end of June. We're making good progress there, and just really pleased to be back open to the public again.
We're glad.
Yeah, definitely.
I was here yesterday and there were more people in here than I'd ever seen.
Wow.
Very good. At one time, which is great. Are you seeing that?
Yes, we are, so we still have some IT related issues that we're working through, and one of those is that we did purchase a new system to count the people who are visiting, to monitor our foot traffic, and that is one of our problem areas. I was talking with one of my coworkers, and of all the elements of our renovation project, that has been one of the most challenging, unexpectedly, but one of the most challenging. So we did reinstall our old counter. So we'll have a better sense of how many folks are coming in, but we have been quite busy. So I'll be interested to see after the end of this month, it'll be a full month back open, what that looks like in comparison to kind of the time immediately before we closed, where we saw a big dip, people anticipating the closure, and then we kind of where we were prior to the closure.
That's good.
Yes. The library district report.
I do not have anything to report. No meetings, I will report that I received notification that Stacy from the Extended Services Office, which manages the library district-wide budget, made her presentation to the county commissioners, and that was tentatively approved. So it's moved through their committee.
All right. Old business, following up on something Charlotte introduced last time when I wasn't here, the handbook for public library board members in Oregon.
So Charlotte, I wanted to check in to see if you had questions that you wanted us to discuss today.
Actually, I had a meeting go way too late, and so I didn't get a chance to go home and pick up anything, so
No problem.
if we could table that till next time. Basically, I thought the handbook was really good, and it really cued me into things I didn't know, and I thought about having one for us. They could just come right out of that.
That sounds like a great idea to me. Is the rest of the board in consensus on that? We'll table it.
All right, new business, budgets for the library.
Okay, so I had sent out a draft of the library and library donation fund budget, and my Excel sheet had a big error in our favor on it. And so I revised our sheets and have new ones to share with you here today. So I'd like to start our review with our library donation fund. And what we have done in years past as a group is I will go through the revenue. I will take a pause and we can answer any questions that you may have about our revenue sources. And then we'll move on to our expenses and we'll do that again, kind of incrementally taking a pause to check in to see, make sure everybody's still on board and following and doesn't have any questions. You are welcome to interrupt if you feel like you need to. This is a relatively casual group and good conversation is usually had over the budget. The overall process for the library budget is that it is reviewed typically at the April meeting by the library board. And as is outlined in the city's ordinance about the library, it is the responsibility of this board to make a recommendation to the budget committee, and then that rolls forward to the city council for adoption. The library's fiscal year runs July 1st and ends on June 30th of each year. And we operate within the city of North Bend's budget. We have two funds that are separate and designated through ordinances and contracts from the rest of the city's funds. So we're considered special revenue funds. That gives you a little bit of context. And as we go through the revenue sources, I'll talk a little bit more about exactly where our funding is coming through. Does anyone have any questions about the budget process or this board's role in that process?
So it's the city budget committee that this goes to.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with the donation fund. It's simpler. Get us warmed up. So it is on one page. The header of that does say library donation fund. And we have relatively straightforward revenue in that fund. So each year we budget to receive donations, grants, and investment income. The investment income is earned off of our fund balance. And then each year, well, we have typically, it's not a guaranteed, but we typically have a fund balance that we carry over from the year prior that gives us our total revenue. So moving into the new fiscal year, my proposed budget includes $14,000 in donations, $22,000 in grants, approximately $5,250 earned from temporary investments. And I anticipate in working with the city's finance director that we will begin the year with a fund balance of $150,000. In the current year, we are expending a significant amount of our prior fund balance on the renovation, on capital improvements.
Can we ask questions now? or-
Yeah.
So tell me about the donations. Like if it was budgeted for 5,000 the last couple of years and 14,000, like where are they gonna come from?
So the donations are made up of gifts from individuals, and we receive those in a lot of different circumstances. Sometimes those are folks paying a little bit extra for their copies, and sometimes it's a memorial gift or a bequest. The reason I've increased the donations this year is because in the last 6 years, I'd say is a good estimate, the library's foundation has dedicated all of its donations towards capital improvements. And moving forward, the donations that we receive from the foundation will just go more into the general revenues of the library donation fund. Also, because, and the same rule applies for the Friends of the Library. that their income has really been dedicated towards capital improvements. And moving forward, we will see a change. We won't be working towards those capital improvements anymore. Also, in recent years, when anyone asked me, how should I donate to the library, or where should I make a donation to? We were really focusing on people making donations to the foundation so that we had a strong application for grants. We needed to really build up their capital, their revenue, so that we could use that as a match for the grants we were applying for. So as we move forward, I'll have a little bit more flexibility in guiding people in their donations. And so we won't be focused on, hey, yes, make a donation so we can improve the children's room. Instead, we can encourage people to donate for other things like books and materials and smaller things like that, that we would manage the library donation fund.
But you'll still need to be writing grants for things, won't you? So you still need to show strength
Yes. Yeah.
of the foundation.
Yes.
Okay.
The revenue sources here listed as grants is much lower this year and even lower in the prior budgeted fiscal years. In 2024, we were at that time already budgeting to receive some grants to support the renovation. And so those numbers are larger because we were working on building that fund up for the renovation. And looking forward kind of at the landscape and what our plans are for the next 12 months, I anticipate that we'll be more in the range of about 22,000, which is, if we look even further back, which is not really a part of the city's budget process typically, but if we were to look at like 21, 22, that would be closer in line with what we received.
And those grants will be directed towards like books, materials,
Yes.
more improvements.
The things that we have already that we anticipate participating in or applying for, there will be a variety of materials grants. Those usually are in the range between $1,000 and $2,000, so they're a lot smaller or pretty modest. We are going to apply for some local foundation grants. Those typically are given around $5,000, so we would hope to get 2 or 3 of those. And then we are also eligible to apply for some grants administered by the State Library of Oregon. So we have already received a grant to provide a teen intern over the summer.
Yes.
And that grant actually spans 2 fiscal years. So we'll account for that in this budget as well. And then beyond that, in a typical year, we would know that we would have further opportunities to apply for grants from the state library. We're not sure exactly how that will go for the remainder of fiscal year moving into 2026, but we'll put some money in our budget so that we can take advantage of those opportunities if they arise. Any other questions about revenue for the donation fund? Okay, so on the expenditure side of things, in the library budgets and the city's budgets, we have 2 main categories of expenditures: personnel services and materials and services. So out of the donation fund, we only have materials and services. And so this year I'm proposing that we budget $8,000 for professional services. Those are examples of what we've used that for in the past would be a consultant to provide strategic planning for the library. We also at one point hired someone to do a brand book for the library and help us plan out how better to communicate with the public. We also can use those funds for architectural services if we needed to or chose to. So anytime we would be contracting with someone else to provide a service for the library. It also can be used for programming. So if we had a yoga instructor come to the library, decided to use donation funds to do that, that would come out of professional services as well. The next category is training and educational supplies, and that's where our book purchases are located. And so thinking about the types of grants that we anticipate, I would expect, and then also the greater number of donations, I would expect that we will increase our spending on library materials from the donation fund in the coming year. So I've budgeted $15,500. We have an other materials and services category. I have budgeted $2,000 for equipment, and that makes our total materials and services budget and total expenses for the account of $26,500. We're ready. We can move on to our library fund. This is where the majority of the library's revenue and expenses is located. The primary source of revenue for our library fund is the taxes generated from our library service district. As I said previously, the library fund is a special fund within the City of North Bend's budget. And I will start. I did make some significant revisions on this part of our budget after meeting with our finance director and then getting clarification from our library service district on their expenses. I anticipate that we will receive $925,000 in current year taxes. My estimate for our delinquent taxes, which are those that are back taxes that are eventually paid, is $25,000. Working with the city's finance director, he helped me determine that we can budget revenue from temporary investments of $35,800. Again, that revenue is earned from funds that are part of our fund balance. And those funds are held in special revenue funds that are for local governments. So it's not a bank account at.
So that's a more general county fund than the library donation fund earned.
It is actually the same. We have the
It's the
same
same.
options for
Okay.
investment in both of those.
Okay.
But they are
what the
separate
two
pools.
Different.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Different pools of money. So those investments are in special investment funds that are for governments.
Have you bonds?
I don't know the answer to that question.
It does say average.
Well, but they're state, they might be stable. Right.
Not today.
We did adjust our estimates for that downwards. So there is some information, yes, on Oregon.gov, local government investment pool,
Okay.
if you wanted to dive deeper into that. I anticipate that we will take in somewhere around $3,000 in fines and fees and about $5,000 in meeting room income. Those numbers, I always budget on the low end because they are not guaranteed. So we want to budget conservatively, and particularly conservatively in those areas. We like to allow the staff to be very flexible in addressing charges in the fines and fees category with patrons and helping folks regain access to library services without a lot of pain and difficulty. And so we budget really conservatively on that fines and fees income.
It looks like, just to say this out loud, that most of the revenue for everything, with the exception of the grants category, is you're not getting anything from federal agencies that are kind of in flux now. It's all just pretty local.
That's correct. Yeah. The impacts that we will see on our services from federal changes are those that come to us through the State Library of Oregon. So a large portion of their budget is actually funded by IMLS, the federal agency. A good portion of their staff positions are funded through IMLS. All of their library consultants who work with us on public library services, advise us on library governance. We have a youth services advisor. All those folks are funded through IMLS funds. Also, they make a large grant to Libby, which is our ebook collection, one of the main sources of electronic materials for us. And so that is really where, moving forward, if there are cuts and that funding is not available, where our patrons will feel the difference is in those e-resources. It's one of the first places that that'll be felt. Right. Any other questions about the library's revenue sources? I'll move on to our expenses. Unfortunately, on the sheet that I sent you, there are a few items that I broke down into more detail. And when I did that, Excel double counted those expenses.
Oh.
And so I haven't revised the sheet. We have an accurate number now. Okay, so as I said, in the City of North Bend budget process, we have different categories of expenditures. The first one is personnel services, and it makes up the vast majority of our expenses here at the library. The City of North Bend is responsible for calculating our personnel costs. We have our number of FTE, number of employees, those particular employees and their wages and rates, and all of that is part of the City of North Bend's system. Their personnel policies apply to library staff, and we are a part of their wage schedule. And so they provide me with the personnel estimates. This budget includes a 2.5% cost of living increase for all employees, as well as a step increase. So they work on a grade and step system. So annually, employees are eligible for an increase based on experience and merit. And this budget does include step increases for all employees. I think this is a place where it's really helpful for us to look at the fiscal year 2025 projected, because those are the estimates that we were given at the start of last year's budget. And those are really tight numbers, is the way I would describe them. So this is one of the places where it's easiest to look at what are we expending this year versus what are we planning to expend in the next year. When we get down more into some of the other categories, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. The discretion that we have as library staff and whether or not we expend the full amount budgeted is much greater. But when it comes to personnel, the costs are the costs. And so you can see we have seen an increase in our benefits.
Can I ask about that? So it was an actual increase in benefits, not just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
inflated
Well, it's an increase in benefit costs.
Costs, that's what I,
Yes, yeah.
That's a 12% increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Is that health insurance by any chance, or-
It's health insurance, retirement,
Okay.
and a variety of other small services, like we have an employee assistance program, but the primary increases come definitely with that healthcare and then retirement. We are Oregon Public Employee Retirement System, PERS, participants.
And you
And
folks have the PERS pickup.
yes, yeah, but the city of North Bend has a very, I would say generous benefits package for our employees, which I think is a good thing. It's one of the reasons why I appreciate working here.
Yes, yeah, it's how you get and keep good people.
It is, yes.
Does anyone have any questions about our personnel services, or the library's FTE, anything like that?
It's amazing that you all do everything that goes on here with 9 people. Yeah, less than 9 people. 8.88 people.
We've made, in my time here, our staffing levels have changed quite a lot.
Mhm.
I think my first budget year, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, but I feel like it was like 15 FTE. So we have made some significant
Yeah.
reductions. We've done that through attrition. You know, as positions came
Yeah.
open, we really took a look at staffing and responsibilities and kind of tried to shift some things. We've taken advantage of some community programs and used teen interns, and we've had AYA employees, and we've done lots of different creative things to help spread that workload out. And I feel like at this point, we really are right-sized for the library. I think it's a good balance for us.
So
Great.
that's interesting. So the 15 FTE, they were oversized or in your estimation?
Well, relative to the size of the community.
I think so. We still, if we were to look at the state average number of employees per capita, even with our current staffing level, we would be above the state average for staffing per capita.
15 would then be far above.
Yes, it would be.
Because
Yeah.
really-
The library had some very long time employees, like 20, 30-year employees. And they were full-time. And so that really brings the FTE up, and we have moved more towards a balance of full-time and part-time. We're like half and half now, full-time, part-time. And we had 2 positions that were pages. So all those staff members did were book drop and shelving.
Mm.
Okay.
And we just don't really have that need. The quantity of materials that we're handling isn't there. And so that's a whole FTE there, that was actually something that we changed during the pandemic time.
Mm.
Leaner.
We're keeping the nice. We're keeping the nice. Okay, well, we'll move into materials and services. I'll move through the list relatively quickly, so put a star or raise a hand if there's something you want to come back to. The first category is travel. That covers the cost of employees traveling to conferences, trainings, as well as to things like meetings. So typical activities are going to library district meetings, mileage for that, coastline meetings, mileage, traveling to the Oregon Library Association conference or statewide meetings. And that category covers mileage, meals, and hotel, or airfare or whatever other travel is needed. We are utilizing the City of North Bend's phone system, and we are charged monthly for that. And it's a per device charge. So we have a charge of $5,000 for that. Postage, maintenance and repair of our equipment. We several years ago got our RFID system and our self-checkout kiosks and security gates. And those come with an annual service and maintenance fee. In years past, that has been charged to our professional services budget, but I felt that moving forward, it would fit better under the maintenance and repair of equipment. And so I have moved that over. Yeah. So that's why that category has increased. We set aside some funding for maintenance and repair of the building. The long-term maintenance and repair of the building is the responsibility of the city of North Bend. But there are things that come up that we cover out of the library's budget. We do receive, revenue from other sources, not just the tax base, so we can do that. And it's things like the plumber, when I have to call him. Janitorial services, those are contractually provided. We had a much lower expense this year because a large part of the building was closed and it didn't need to be cleaned. And so we're budgeting, both for monthly service, moving forward and for, twice yearly carpet cleaning. And those services are provided by Bay Area Enterprises, and there are statewide purchasing agreements that govern how we handle janitorial services. And those contract prices are actually set and approved by the state for the services. There's a program that we utilize. We have our lights and power, our water. Previously, we had a charge for laundry service, and that was for the walk-off mats that we used in the lobby and entryway. We had permanent mats installed during the renovation, so I'm not budgeting anything for that. I'll pause there before we get into professional services.
I have a question about lights and power.
Yes.
Will that go down because of the LED and all of the new lighting?
I'm not
that they
sure.
Put in that was supposed to be more energy efficient.
The lighting that we have is more energy efficient. However, power costs are going up
going up.
so
Okay.
much
So there's gonna be-
that I'm a
just
little
not-
bit unsure.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. I don't expect that we will see an increase in our bill,
Okay.
which is good.
Okay.
Otherwise, if we had not done the lighting project, we would have
Would-
seen a significant
Sure.
increase. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Professional services. I talked a little bit about what those things are in the donation fund. It's a little bit different. We have some additional things in the library's general operating budget. We have printer copier service that we pay for on the 2 machines that we have. That covers maintenance, repair, and the supplies like ink and toner for those. We have our contracted security service. I am budgeting a little bit for architectural services in case there are any lingering charges from the project that we have to carry over. And then there are a few other things that we just group as miscellaneous, like the shredding service and other, servicing the fire extinguishers. Kind of once a year things that just come up that, okay, we gotta take care of. Does anybody have any questions about professional services? So just to give you a little insight into budgeting and how we're providing services, we talked about our library FTE and how that's been reduced. Something that I take into consideration is that we do now have contract security. And while they are not someone who is on our payroll, they are an employee that's in the building. And that is a full-time equivalent that we have in the building. Right, membership fees and dues, those are for professional organizations. We have our office supply budget, janitorial supplies, building and plant supplies. Those are often things like light bulbs, grounds and roadway supplies. That would be like landscaping, training and educational supplies is our book budget. That also covers the cost of the Hoopla digital service and programs. I'll stop there and see if anybody has any questions about any of those categories.
On the first page, we had training and educational services for supplies. coming from the library donation fund, and then this is just the library. Okay, I got it, so
Yep.
Ronnie knows.
Yes. Next we have property and liability insurance. Those are both through the city of North Bend's contracts for those and are set by the city's rates. We have other materials and services, which I haven't budgeted anything for. And then we have our office equipment budget, which pays for computers, copiers, printers, maybe new trash cans. Trying to think of some of the things that have come through recently. If we needed a new, we need to purchase a new large sign holder, we might put that into our office equipment budget. They're things that are going to be a little more lasting than a ream of paper.
I had a question about insurance. Does the workers' comp insurance premium come out of your budget, or is it just kind of from the city, or you never see it?
It comes out of our budget and it's rolled into that additional payroll and benefits cost.
Oh, okay.
And we have not budgeted for any capital outlay in the coming year. The city would, as we move forward in the budget process, depending on what our fund balance is, perhaps assign a contingency, but they've kind of moved away from assigning contingencies and rather really focusing in on that fund balance. So our total expenses with personnel services and materials and services combined total $1,092,980. I do want to make sure that the board is aware that the library will be spending into its fund balance in the coming year. Our new revenue, so what comes in through taxes and fines and fees, anything new coming into the fund is expected to be $993,800. And so we will be dipping into that fund balance. But in all of the years that I have worked here, we have budgeted to dip into our fund balance. So it's not an unexpected part of our budget process. It's something that I do monitor, and as the year goes on, we may make choices that either, yes, we are going to go ahead and move forward with this project. We feel like it's important and we want to do it. It's worth dipping into that balance. Or we may say, actually, we want to make an effort to conserve more of that balance and not spend as much into it. It is always a challenge to manage the ever increasing and compounding cost of staff. It is our most important asset. It's essential. However, we do have to recognize the reality of the situation, that those are compounding costs. And unfortunately, the new revenue that we receive from our tax district doesn't keep up. And so we just have to be thoughtful as we move from year to year about how we are managing the remainder of the budget that we have and what we are doing to conserve a fund balance so that we have some options moving forward. But I think it's, if we're looking at our overall budget, our personnel services are, we'll just round it, $793,000. Our new revenue is 993. That's a huge portion of the revenue that we're expecting to receive. And, what are we left to run the library on? So I'm always thinking about that and appreciate your input on what our priorities should be.
The spelling bee people here cannot wait a moment longer to tell you that contingency was spelled wrong.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Good one, Gail. No one-
On both?
Both, yeah.
Oh, good. I'll look.
Oh, so you can be on libraries too next week.
Oh, yes. Right, thank you.
What year was the, staff FTE at 15?
I
About-
started in 2017.
2017. I just, when I'm asked, because every once in a while I get those people that ask me when they know I'm on the library board about the tremendous expense that we've made to
Mhm.
revitalize library. Now I can say, yes, and
Yes.
we're down
Let's see.
6.2 FTE.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Well, hopefully the arrival of the grocery outlet store and the new housing development in North Bend will boost up our taxes a little bit.
Yeah.
Looking to see. I can give you a more accurate answer. So we had a couple of people who left. So I would say maybe not 15, maybe it was 13, because I can look at the numbers that I have for the following fiscal year. And I know which positions were vacated, but in the first year that I made the budget, we had 11 FTE. And I think we had at least one person depart
Mhm.
at that point in time.
Livable wages and good money and great benefits.
Mhm.
And being able to do that and keep the library together with the right amount of spending, so that's.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any questions that haven't been answered before we make a vote on a recommendation of the budget? Somebody would like to move that we recommend the acceptance of this budget by the budget committee, I guess.
I so move.
All right,
A second?
Charlotte moves it, Terry seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Public input.
We do not have
We don't
any.
have any public. I would like to say that during the closure of the library, I was involved with putting on a number of events that would normally have happened here and that happened at the Coos Bay Library, and I would like to say that you guys are a pleasure to deal with. I will say no more.
Without putting too fine.
Yes, it's things always are very smooth here, and you guys set up the room and break it down, which is the most wonderful thing in the world, and we, the public, appreciate it.
Hmm.
I'll let you know, Jarrett just joined our Zoom.
Hey, Jared.
And does anybody have any random comments or?
It's beautiful out there.
Oh, isn't it?
It's
I
really
just
nice.
love it. I just
Yeah,
like to just stand over there.
well, and you can see the people, I mean, people.
You can, it's so open.
And, yeah.
Yeah, probably easier for the staff to see, oh, is somebody up to something over in the corner there?
Have the teenagers made much use of the new space, or are they still sniffing it out?
They're really shy. They're sniffing it out. We have noticed that every day there are kids in there. I've seen kids using the window seats and looking at books and reading things. We haven't gotten any of them to play the Switch yet. So we're working on like how to kind of encourage some more hangout, but they are using the space, and it's really nice to see that they're gravitating towards it. Like we really haven't done much of anything to direct them
Right.
there.
Mhm.
They are gravitating there, and we have had a lot of folks using the chess set,
Wow.
which is fun, of
Nice.
various ages.
Uh-huh.
So, and I know a couple of people that have made a special visit to come in
Wow.
and play chess. Yeah,
Excellent.
a great question. Yeah.
Maybe you could have like a game tournament on the Switch, like let people post their.
Yeah.
leaderboards or something.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
All right, well then, it looks like we are adjourned at 5:48. And our next meeting is Wednesday, May 14th.
Garrett, would you like me to bring your T-shirt to you?
I'm just honestly, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Something happened, family emergency. I really wanted to be here. Did we talk about the budget and approve the budget and everything?
Yes.
We're done.
Okay.
That ship is sailing.
So yeah, sorry for missing the meeting. I had a couple questions, but I don't want to like hold people up because I had a family emergency. So, I was just kind of wondering if the instability of everything is going to affect our library at all, or is this not really like on our radar?
We touched on that, Jared, and I'm happy to follow up with you with like a follow-up on that if you want to.
Alright.
The short of it is that none of our revenue is directly tied to federal funding. However, we may see, depending on how things go, with the Institute for Museum and Library Services, an impact eventually on some of our services like the Libby online or e-content, because those are funded in part by grants from IMLS. So there won't be an immediate impact, and it certainly doesn't affect our general operating budget, but there may be some service impacts down the road.
I'm just also wondering about like suppliers and stuff. But sorry again. Really, truly. Also curious, did they have that spelling bee yet?
Yes,
Yes.
How'd we do?
the spelling bee, how did we
Oh.
do? I think we were out in the middle.
We went out, I think, in the 5th round.
Yeah, we were like
All right.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah,
Oh,
oh, that still,
Yeah,
that makes me
I'm
anxious.
not
Time.
there. Anything.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jarrett.
Sorry.
No need to apologize.